Hey there, and welcome back to the most currywurst-loving sim racing channel. I was shocked to find out over the last 2 days that my fellow YouTubers, Boosted Media and Race Beyond Matter, decided to record races in the new AMS2 GTE cars at my favorite racetrack in the world, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, all while having the gall not to actually ask me to join in. In order to repay this insult, today we're at the Nürburgring in the Porsche 911 GTE, as Boosted and Race Beyond Matter already covered the C8R and M8 respectively. Since they have super immersive, utterly overkill, triple screen, uber immersion setups and I don't, I have to find my own gimmicks to carry this video. So not only are we doing the full 24-hour Nürburgring layout, as opposed to their paltry Nordschleife only runs, but we're also racing a grid full of GTE cars set to the game's maximum difficulty of 120 out of 120. That's sure to show them who's boss. Make sure to hit that sub to stay up to date with future Nordschleife worship, and let's get to it. Here we go, lining up on the starting straight here at the 24-hour layout. Green, green, green. We push on ahead. Now the goal is treat the AI with some respect. Don't dive on the inside. Try not to dive on the inside. Dive a little bit, just a little bit on the inside. And being very grateful there's no undercarriage damage, I take that massive dive at the T1 hairpin as we push out into this very overcast day, which should clear up over the course of the 2 laps that we've got scheduled. We're pushing nice and hard. These GTE cars have an immense amount of grip here at the GP circuit. It's amazing. You can push so hard just out of the gate, even with semi-lukewarm tires. Coming up now behind the BMW. Oh, we get an opening on the inside as we take the BMW for position. And pushing out again, we take the second BMW for position as well. Now we're doing our best Kevin Estra lap 1 impersonation already. However, in a slightly higher class of car, as we come up on one of our 911 RSR brethren here. Oh, as we take the gap for position once again. And we jostle, we go too wide. Into the wide crest to the right, but no. I think we're gaining the position, and yes, it sticks. As we focus our sights firmly on the Corvette C8R. Now as I take a very adventurous line through the chicane there, we come out onto the fun portion of the track, the Nordschleife. Here's where our plebby YouTube influencer brethren actually started their laps. Can't believe they missed the entire GP circuit. What's that all about, guys? So we push nice and hard, coming into Heusinkveld. Very, very bouncy on that inside curb. I can't say it felt like that in real life when I went over it, but hey, it is what it is. We push hard with that amazing amount of GTE tire grip there. As we push towards Flugplatz, will we jostle for position? They are too wide. I think better of it. I stay behind. Just lift the throttle, get back on. AI always quicker through here than we are. As we start getting jostled a little bit from behind by that 911. And the M8 wants a piece of us on the inside, it seems. As we go through Schwedenkreuz finally. But we hold the inside, he's not able to make the position stick. Amazing amount of grip there. Watching the 911 and the C8R jostle for position up ahead going into Flugplatz. Not Flugplatz, the Foxhole. The most exciting part of the real life track for me personally. Feels like there's about 9 Gs pushing down to your skull. As we come down into Adenauer Force now. Making up some position. AI just not quite that good on the slower sections of circuit. Me wondering, is this really 120 strength AI? But yes it is. And for those of you wondering, the question came up a lot in our last video, what aggression are they set to? This time we're set to 70 aggression. I tried the community recommendation of 96 and trust me, that's not something you want to see around the Nordschleife. That's not a pretty sight. As we push down, holding the position around the outside, we get ever so slightly love tapped by the M8. He's getting very adventurous here. Now, if this was 96, we'd both have gone flying into the barrier at this point. As I push through, miss there, on the power somehow amazingly, and down to the slowest corner on the entire Nürburgring. So much easier to drive in AMS2 than, well, pretty much any other sim I'm used to driving this track in. It's so fun, so engaging. It's a lot more lax and just enjoyable. As we push hard here, the AI always slows down on that corner exit there. It's a free position, or two in this case. Thank you, guys. As we come up to Sector 2 now, the power section. Let's see how we go. AI not getting the best exit out of there as I push on the inside, making the most out of that slingshot. Going on the grass. Been watching way too much Kevin Estre lately. Going too wide through this entire section. Not a place you want to be, but hey, it's where we find ourselves, and I think we've topped out at the same top speed. I'm trying to leave as much space as possible, not to cause absolute mayhem here. We go okay, we squeeze him out a little bit, and he drops the position. Really interesting, trying to maximize the position, and we take the inside, coming up to the carousel now. I love these sudden position drops that we're getting. As we slightly overcook our entry. Oh no, I go spinning, but I somehow maintain it. I somehow maintain it into the carousel again. Very grateful that undercarriage damage isn't a thing at this point in the game. If it ever becomes a thing, I'm gonna have a real bad time. As I go out half onto the grass again. Way too much Kevin Estre in my life. As the weather starts to clear up, we go to the medium weather, or rather the medium cloud condition. Things starting to look a lot more nice and blue in our factory even. It's an in-joke for those guys who know our factory is the blue simulator, whereas iRacing is the yellow simulator. And we take another position here on the outside. I can't believe the level of grip we're being afforded by these tires. The track condition, of course, beginning with medium rubber and then dynamically changing to hopefully let us get to a heavy rubber condition as we race. Oh, so much grip here. It's not Heusinkveld, what's it called? Something starting with a B. It's where Robert almost binned his GT2 RS recently. Berenstein? Berenfield? Beregesacht? Something. Some German word beginning with B. Oh, as I fly down the jump here, coming into the Beloff S's. Beautiful place. One of my favorite parts of basically all of motorsport, guys. Sector 3, so engaging, so dynamic. You're always going downhill. You're just flying. You're basically just glued to the floor by the sheer weight of downforce. As we go through the mini carousel, the Caracciola carousel, I believe. Something to that effect. I prefer mini carousel, it's easy to pronounce. As I slightly get squeezed out wide. That was definitely my mistake. You don't want to be going too wide into there on the outside. That's not the best place in the world to be. Now I'm hoping I still have the toe. I can tell that the M8 has the toe. He's really making up some ground on the guys in front of him. But I'm hoping I can piggyback on this and make up some positions here as we go an amazing 286 kilometers per hour uphill. We start to make up ground, the AI flashing their brake pedals for some reason. I take the outside, again, watching way too much Kevin Estre, and this is basically a one-to-one recreation of his first lap of the N24, minus that little mishap at the carousel. Alright, now, one lap down, one lap left to go. We've already taken the lead. Can we hold it for the rest of the race? As the sun starts to drop rapidly, I haven't mentioned, we're running about 20 or 25 times time compression here, so we should see a beautiful sunset during this lap as the weather clears up for us. Hard on the brakes down to T1, the hairpin. As we smash it down here, massive amounts of grip. Now, you're going to notice one thing. You're going to notice that I start to drive a lot more conservatively, and that's because on lap 2 of the 24-hour layout, I always find that my tire grip starts to get really wonky. So I'm running a fairly high downforce setup just to be conservative here, but I'm afraid. I'm not pushing hard through here. You can tell I'm going about 80%. through the GP circuit, just trying to feel the new limit of the car. So I don't know why this happens in AMS. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments down below, but on lap 2, I always find that the traction just gets a little more wonky, as you can tell in the corner exit there, just a little weird. I am running the TC at 0, using pure 100% unadulterated sim racing skill, baby. But yes, my rears become a little bit worse for wear after that, as I really worry through this section. You can tell I'm really feeling for the grip there. I'm really concerned that I'm going to go into one of those uncontrollable slides, and here, understeering out, I'm really not confident in where the car is at, so I'm hoping that I can iron that out as we go through the lap. This is high-risk territory for doing one of those rear-around slides and just completely spinning out of control. Oh, man. And yeah, I'm definitely feeling the trepidation there. Getting back onto Nordschleife again, losing the rear end of the car. I'm really worried at this point. I feel like it's just a matter of time until I uncontrollably lose the car. Maybe I've burnt up the rears, maybe it's a tire temperature thing, maybe it's a tire wear thing because I'm using the soft slicks, or at least I assume I'm using the soft slicks. I went automatic by weather. Still pushing reasonably hard through Heusinkveld, but not as hard as I would like to. This is definitely not the skating by the seat of your pants experience I tend to like through here. Of course, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, my most driven track in all of motorsport, and the one that I've actually been to in real life a couple of times, gives you a really great feeling for what is and isn't possible in the simulated realm. Absolutely adore this track. Could probably drive it with my eyes closed. With the AI nowhere to be seen behind us as we get a gorgeous sunset over the farmlands. Well, not so much farmlands, rather the forest land to the left. Very cool. Very cool. So we brake hard into Schiedenkreuz, we push in, and the car, no, can't be recovered. That felt so surreal because it felt so controllable right up until it wasn't. I was well within the controllable parameters of the car. I went in way harder than that on lap 1, so I'm wondering to myself, what has happened there? Like, what has changed over the course of these 1.5 laps to cause that? If you guys know, let me know in the comments down below. I'm keen to find out, because that's currently one of the biggest impediments to AMS2 for me. I'm trying to work out why that keeps happening to me. It's one of the reasons I can't just get in there and try and, you know, do my best attempts at time trial boards. I just don't have the confidence. As that gorgeous sunset pushes down and gives it an even more immersive vibe. Going past the rebel tree there, you can be sure I saluted it. Oh, as I go out wide, I am just, the confidence in the car just isn't there anymore. The cars behind me slowly starting to catch up, and I'm progressively starting to worry here more and more. Will it happen again? Will I suddenly lose the traction mid-corner? What's going to happen? But I will say the AI at 120 here at the Nürburgring, still extremely forgiving. I mean, if you're allowed to spin like that, make a few mishaps like I did, yet still lead the race, perhaps, just perhaps, we could use the AI being touched up just a little bit to give us a harder race. As we push on well into Sector 2, now into the power section of the circuit. You can be sure I'm absolutely loving this. Even though I've kind of lost a bit of the confidence of the car, I'm still able to push. I feel like I've found its new limit here. I feel confident in driving it to the best of my ability anyway. And the question always, do you shift up to 6th gear, or do you stay in 5th and maintain the torque? We drop it down a gear, push on, barely have to slow down there. You basically just have to drop a gear and lift. I believe that's how the GT3 drivers do it in real life. And then here we brake. We brake a little bit earlier, I think, than you would in real life, for whatever reason. I'm not sure why that is. It just happens to be the braking point on this version of the circuit. Brake at the correct point for the carousel. Actually, get into the carousel correctly this time as well. Feels kind of nice, I've got to say. As we get into my absolute favorite section of a racetrack in all of motorsport, guys, Section 3. of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Look at this. Just look at how amazing this is. This snaking uphill wind, and then we're just going to blast it downhill. Oh, I've got to say, considering that this comes from the same engine as Project Cars 2, I love the way that AMS2 feels on curbs. You can take the curbs like you do in real life. The tire just wraps around them like it does in real life. None of this nebulous black hole suction effects, immediate spin stuff that you get in other sims. You just get right on, you munch that curb like crazy. We get down to YouTube corner here, Beretsgesachet, whatever the hell it's called. The place where Mr. Robert Mitchell of Apex almost accrued a very, very hefty repair bill on his GT2 RS. As we push down hard and we get airborne now. Yes! So good. And can confirm you do get airborne there in real life, and can confirm it's scary. But the funny thing about real life is the higher the downforce in the car that you're in, the less you feel the old testicles in your throat feeling, because the car just kind of sucks you down onto the road. You don't get that kind of lumbering, stuck in midair vibe that you do on a road car with like flimsy, soft suspension. As I'm really pushing it through Sector 3. You can tell I found the new limit of the car. I'm loving this right now. Mid-corner corrections, ahoy. Just brilliant up here, coming up onto the second to final straight. I always forget its name. Something about a animal cemetery, I believe. Then we got Tiergarten further up ahead. Beautiful, absolute beautiful time of day. And we see the castle up to the top right as well. Unfortunately, didn't get to visit the castle, but I'm sure it's good fun. I wonder if it's a good place to sit with a telescopic lens and just like record cars flying down the straight here. So we can see the cars way back behind us there. Just the flash of their headlights. So I think it goes without saying, guys, I'm gonna have to do the 24 hours of Nürburgring in this game, aren't I? You let me know if you want to see that in the comments down below, but I think we have to do it, don't we? I mean, clearly, like multi-class here for 24 hours. I mean, time compressed, but come on. As we get across the finish line for a race win here with the GTEs, 120 AI, 70 aggression. I'm sure many of you will say I'm a pleb for only 70 aggression, but trust me, 90 aggression plus on this track is probably not something you want to see. In all seriousness, props to Race Beyond Matter and Boosted Media for giving me the idea to do this. I absolutely loved racing this car on this racetrack. This is just something else. I'm having a lot of fun in this sim right now. While it may not have eclipsed rFactor 2, for my #1 Nordschleife type experience, it has something very, very special all of its own. Anyway, guys, make sure to hit that sub to stay up to date with future sim racing content, and until the next AMS2 or whatever the hell else we feel like video, I'll see you guys later.